Hi everyone, welcome. My name is Billy. Today I would like to share with you something a little different. Instead of garments, I will share with you a super easy and simple quilt that I recently made. So here is the quilt itself. So the front, the front is a plaid sort of pattern, and it's 100% cotton fabric, twill, and the back is a simple 100% cotton bed sheet actually. So the origin of this quilt is quite curious. About a couple months ago, YouTube recommended a lot of quilting videos to me, and I suspect that was because I had been watching tons of sewing related videos. I live in New York City. Quilting is not a thing in this part of the country. So quilting or making a quilt just never even crossed my consciousness at all. But I watched those videos and immediately I was very impressed and fascinated by the design element of it, how they designed the color schemes of the design that they want to do, and also how to achieve that from the assemblage of the little pieces of fabric. Then to the actual quilting part, what designs you will actually use when you quilt, whether, especially the freehand or free motion quilting, whether it's flower designs or paisleys or straight lines, etc. I just thought that was incredibly beautiful. And also what really impressed me was the sentimental part of the quilt itself. Apparently quilt is given as a wedding gift or as a gift when a child is born, and so that was incredibly meaningful as a gift to mark the special occasions in one's life, but also it could actually pass down as an heirloom piece, and I just thought that was incredibly meaningful and beautiful as a gesture when you give somebody a quilt. So I decided I would make a quilt myself, but actually I do not have enough scraps from my clothing projects. So I decided to do the next best thing, which is to look in my stash for fabrics that I probably would not use for my garments, and then turn those fabrics into a useful quilt that I would actually use and enjoy. And so that was what I did. So for this, for my particular quilt, this fabric, the top is a cotton tweed that I bought from Moo's website. And when I got it at home, it actually feels more like flannel than the typical flat tweed, because this one is a little lightly brushed. And because it does resemble flannel, it is not suitable for garments for work. So it was just been sitting in my stash for the last 2 to 3 months. And for the back, I used a cotton flat sheet that's been sitting in my closet also for ages. So I thought those two would be perfect. I can repurpose them and turn them into a quilt that I would use. And as for the middle layer, the batting, I originally looked online to buy an all cotton batting, and they run generally about $50 for a twin size quilt or single size quilt. And so I decided maybe I would try to find something in my stash instead of spending more money. And so then I came across this fabric here. So this is 100% woven wool, and it's fairly loosely woven. And I bought this fabric last year from a fabric store in New York City's garment district that was about to go out of business. Originally, I had planned to make some sort of coat with this fabric, but somehow I just have not gotten around to it. And then the longer I have this fabric, the less likely I will actually make it into a garment, just because for the reason I decided I wasn't so crazy about this fabric or this pattern anymore. So it's also just been sitting there in my stash. And so I thought that why not turn it into the batting for my quilt? And also because the thickness of this wool is perfect for batting, and so that's what I did. And because I do not want any assembled edges for my batting, so the size of this wool fabric determines the size of my quilt. And so because this fabric is 45 inches wide, and that's why my final quilt is also 45 inches wide. And the quilt itself, the finished size is 45 inches wide by 72 inches long. So that will be plenty for one person. And so here's just a quick, a couple pictures of my quilt. So the front and the back. So the back, instead of doing free motion quilting, I decided to just follow the lines of the plaid and just sew basically squares. So that was what I did. And this one really turned out incredibly easy to make, and I really love it because sometimes I just need a little bit of a mindless sewing, and this definitely gave me that. So I was very pleased with it, and I just followed the instruction of a video that I will link in the description box below for attaching the binding, which is the border here. And in the video, she used a narrower binding, and I doubled the size actually, because when I was cutting out the fabric, the 3 layers were not perfectly even, so I needed a wider binding to hide some of the unevenness, and so that was what I did. Also, I learned that for quilts, you do not pre-wash or pre-treat the fabric, and so instead you wash it after you sewed it up and quilted already. And the reason is because the fabric most likely will shrink a bit from the washing and the drying in the dryer, and because from the shrinking it actually will puff up a bit, and therefore giving the quilt a more 3-dimensional texture. So then you will not end up with a super flat quilt such as it is right now before washing. So anyway, so this is my quilting project. I hope you have enjoyed this video, and I'm very pleased with the result, and I suspect this would not be my last quilt. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope I will see you soon. Bye bye.